Hello, and welcome to Confessions of a Dog Trainer. I have a guest today, those of you who can see the video. Layla, our current board and train dog who goes home Thursday. She's hanging out with me on place. I usually don't have dogs out when I'm doing this because I get very easily distracted and then I forget what I'm talking about. But she's been doing so good on place, so she's just gonna hang out. So this episode I'm super excited about. I think it will be really helpful. I did a virtual coaching session with an owner yesterday or the day before, and just some questions popped up. She was struggling with reactivity and some things she's doing that are very common with a lot of owners with reactive dogs and things you think you should be doing, but I find that it really doesn't help things. So I'm going to go over the I don't know, dog training myths that are holding a lot of owners with reactive dogs back. Now, reactivity does not have to only be on the leash, on walks. Reactivity is your dog barking in the home, really any kind of barking or lunging, whining, all of that. And so, if you're struggling with any of that stuff, hopefully these things will be helpful. Okay, so number one, if your dog is misbehaving, you should exercise them more. So there's this mentality, or there used to be, I don't know if there is anymore, but I know when I was a dog walker pet sitter, this was the go to thing owners thought they should be doing. Tired dogs are happier dogs, or if your dog is misbehaving, you should exercise them more. So that's a great fix for the moment, but a lot of times you're just creating an athlete. So if you are struggling with reactivity or anxiety and you've been told to exercise your dog more, there's nothing wrong with exercising your dog. It's we need to exercise our dogs. But whenever I'm doing it with training dogs, and all the dogs I work with, the board and train, and I'll just speak for myself. So mine is 2 weeks long. It is such a great example of what's possible for you with your dogs if you really just commit to these changes and tweaking some things. So, every single dog I get in has behavioral issues. They are reactive, anxious, pushy, all over the place. And I'm not exercising them in a crazy way to get them to behave. Exercise is a added benefit to our day. It's just an added bonus. So walks for me are usually about 20 to 30 minutes long. I do find when you are working on heel with a dog, and it's not just like your dog can do whatever they want on the walk. It's a much more mental exercise too. Your dog has to slow down. They have to start paying attention to your movement. So it's both. It's a mental and physical exercise. Now, there are some dogs that I do love taking, like on bike rides. If I'm working with a dog who is like a high drive German Shepherd, there is something with dogs who have way more energy and they're just built to be more drivey. These are your working breed dogs, usually bigger dogs, in my opinion, but also like maybe a Jack Russell Terrier could benefit from an extra long bike ride with you, or if you are running with your dog, that's really great. Like my husband runs with our German Shepherd Louie every morning. It's highly beneficial for my husband. He loves running with her, and it's really beneficial for her. But we're not running her so that she doesn't bark at the mailman when the mailman comes by. So if you have been told to get your dog exhausted so that they behave better, it's not really something that's sustainable. So I would start to think about um, being more intentional with your exercise. Also, the combo of something active plus something uh, passive, like place, like Layla on place right now, that is so beneficial. You will see huge benefits with your dog. And it's because you are exercising both the mental and physical sides of your dogs. That's something that I think a lot of people, they don't get dogs thinking you should exercise the mental side of your dog. That just seems weird. But I have found it to be super beneficial. Think of it like meditation for your dog. The combo is really helpful. So go for a 20 to 30-minute walk, especially when it's more structured, like with heel. You don't need as long of a walk to really fulfill your dog's physical needs. And then when you follow that up with something calmer, it's just great. So place or kennel time, either. Kennel is great if you can't supervise your dog. It's very similar to place. Now, okay, so the exercise thing, that's a very common one. The other one is more is better. So a great example is a dog I was working with. I think it was Rue, so a mini golden doodle. Oh, and I forgot to say in the beginning, a little ode to my dad. I've got my coffee. I'll wait for you to get yours, or my cup of Joe. I'm drinking an Americano, but I also have my water because I went and got a facial yesterday, and she told me that my skin is dehydrated. I think because I'm drinking too much coffee. I don't know. Um, anyway, so Rue, and it was like an aha moment with her owner, which I just love that kind of stuff. It makes me so happy when something just hits you different and you're like, oh, that makes so much sense. And we were sitting in here for the go home session, and her owner was saying that she was doing a lot of the snuffle mat things where like you hide treats in these like snuffle mats and your dog just like is busy trying to find the treats, or maybe you feed your dog that way. And one thing that she was like, oh my gosh, okay, it makes so much sense that we're doing those things almost all day long. So she's constantly doing things and being entertained. And it kind of makes sense that she wouldn't be able to just relax because we're not practicing that at all. And where you would think if you are tiring your dog out and just giving them puzzles to do and the food puzzles and the snuffle mats and all of that, that it would exhaust them and then they would be fulfilled. But you're really just creating this new habit of excitement, busy, 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 where you have to teach your dog how to relax. Some dogs are much more prone to just relaxing and laying down on their own. And but if you're listening to this, you probably don't have a dog like that. So with Layla, I don't think she would do this on her own. We had to teach her, and place is just such a great place to start teaching your dog how to relax. So if that sounds like you, and maybe you think that more is better, you're trying to fill the voids in your dog's day so that they're not bored, or you think that that will mentally exhaust them. It's really just creating more excitement. And this kind of builds off of the next thing I wanted to talk about when you're on the walk with your dog, something that's very common. But just take a look at your day. If you're struggling with reactivity in the home, on the walk, your dog is just overly excitable and you really want to tone that down and get more of this, like Layla right now laying on place, you need to replace those excitement puzzle things or whatever they are with a calming exercise. So just adding in some place time after something active. It doesn't mean you have to take out all of the things, especially if you think they're fun and you enjoy doing the puzzles with your dog, whatever. I've never really done the snuffle mats, but I know those are a big, big thing. It's kind of just distraction work where you're trying to distract your dog so that they don't get into trouble or something. I don't know. But maybe just try taking some of that out. This is what I always say to owners: try it. Try taking out those things for the next week and see how your dog does. Replace those things with place time, or, um, do the walk plus place combo. Try it each day for the next week and see how your dog does. But I just think trying it, it's kind of like I grew up in the Dr. Phil era and my parents loved him so much, where he had this tagline where he'd say, how's that working for you? And so ask yourself that. That's what I want to say to owners sometimes. Well, how is that working for you? Is it working? If not, let's swap it out for something else. The next thing is the look at me thing, where you have taught your dog to look at you. So you'll either say their name or you will say, look at me. So a good example is an owner that I talked with. Lovely owner, if you're listening, hello. And this is no judgment at all. This is all very common. And I'm only speaking from what has worked for me with reactive dogs or pushy dogs. And I'm assuming that if you're listening to this, you have one of those dogs. The things that have worked for me when working with those dogs. So when I was talking with this owner, and she has a reactive little dog, little beagle, and she'll say, look at me preemptively if she sees a dog ahead to kind of distract the dog, to focus on her more than the other dog. Now, ideally, that sounds great, having your dog focus on you more than the other dogs if your dog is reactive towards dogs. You're trying to avoid the reactivity happening. The problem with that is that it just creates a lot of excitement. So, the thing I have found to be the most helpful when working with reactive dogs is calming everything down. On the walk, I'm not really saying much to a dog. It could be no paired with the e-collar, heel paired with tone, or good, very calm, very neutral, because that is what I want from the dog. Now, if you are constantly saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, and also if your dog is not looking at you and they're looking at the other dog, just from an outsider, look from the outside. If you see someone doing that, well, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel calmer, or does it make you feel a little bit stressed out, a little bit like on edge? And that's not what we want from our dogs. So, my thing for you, if you are one of those people doing that, just try not saying look at me for the next week. Now, the thing about the look at me, it can become very habitual and like kind of like a crutch. Like you depend on that because it's helped you in some situations. But then if your dog is still being reactive and you find you're saying look at me a lot, I want you to try something different to see if maybe that is not helping you so much. Now, the look at me thing, sometimes I will reward a dog like with a piece of food if I say their name and they look at me. But this is after we have worked through the reactivity on the walk. So just like I was telling the owner yesterday or whenever in the coaching session, let's try this for the next week. I just want you to try not saying look at me for the next week. Use the e-collar to hold your dog accountable for heel. We're going to use the e-collar to work through the reactive stuff. And if you haven't listened to that episode, it's a couple episodes back, the e-collar reactivity. And it's all about using levels for reactivity. The most common things that I talk with owners about, the fear of dialing up, all of that. So with her, I just said, let's just try it the next week. I just want to see how it goes, try this out. Now, I think also a big focus for a lot of owners is they are either told or they think that their dog should be focusing on them more than the other dogs that they're walking past. So if you're walking past, your dog's reactive and your dog is looking at you and you're maybe rewarding. So it's kind of like you're distracting your dog and rewarding for looking at you, but it's a lot of excitement. The thing that is so helpful about using the e-collar for the walk, so again, heel. We always go back to heel. It is so important when working through any kind of reactive stuff on the walk or pushy stuff. It could just be your dog wants to pull you everywhere, any kind of pushy stuff. So when you start to hold your dog accountable for heel, so you teach them what heel is, then you start to hold them accountable. Now they have to prioritize your body movement over everything else. So they are focused, quote unquote, on you, but it's not so much, look at me, look at me. You don't really have to say anything. It's more, if I move to the right, dog moves with me. If I move to the left, dog moves with me. If I move backwards, dog moves with me. And that is the great thing about creating this new communication on the walk. Like, hey, follow with me. If you don't, you'll feel the e-collar, that kind of a thing. So your dog starts to prioritize your body movement. And I also like to think a lot of times, what is the saying? Where the mind goes, the body follows, or something like that. It's a really cool thing to see where a dog starts to prioritize where you move. You don't have to reward for looking at you. It's not a look at me thing. It's more, it's just embedded in that command, the heel command, follow command, whatever you want to call it. And it's a really powerful thing if you want your dog to take you more seriously and view you as their leader. And it's not an alpha thing, it's just a respect. They respect you. They are here to follow you, take your lead, and it creates more confidence in your dog. So if you are doing the look at me thing and you're still struggling with reactivity, maybe take it out for the next week. Take it out for the next 3 walks. See how it goes. It's going to feel weird probably if you've been doing it a lot, but I just want you to try it. Because my thing is, if you're still struggling, just like Dr. Phil would say, I can't believe I keep saying Dr. Phil, but you know how he'd say, how's that working for you? It's just important to reflect. And if it's not working, try something else. It's just so similar to like me with food and exercise. For the longest time, because I used to have an eating disorder. And so I get so caught up in, I don't think for like realistic reasons, but it's like I'm trying to protect myself that I feel like, well, I shouldn't count macros because that's going to make me obsessive about food again. And I don't want to go down that path. So I'm trying to protect myself. Where really everything I've been doing um, before I started counting macros was not helping me. I was feeling stuck. I was going through the same loop of, I can't eat intuitively. Like my intuition tells me to eat snacks all day long. And, those add up. So My intuition is not my best friend when it comes to food stuff. But when I was like, okay, and it was when my dad passed away, and I really wanted to just kind of try something different. And this is related to you as a dog owner with training, because I know there's so much overwhelming information. I know. And it's very similar to me and the people I follow on Instagram that's like foodie stuff, workout stuff. And I'm 38. Well, am I 38? Yeah, 38. And I get overwhelmed with the nutrition information out there. I hear one thing and then someone else says the exact opposite the next day. With working out stuff, I heard that HIIT is not good for your hormones. And the next day someone says, oh, it's great for your hormones. It's like so stupid. It makes me feel crazy. And I'm assuming that you're the same way about dog training. So I just want you to try. Oh, and what I was going to say, I started counting macros with the help of my coach, Whitney. We did a 3-month program and it was life changing. It was challenging. It was so similar to dog stuff and me working with owners and those of you going through e-collar training. It was almost comical. Where in the middle, I think it was the second month, where I was like, if I wasn't working with Whitney, I would totally give up because I just felt like I was hitting a wall. I felt like I wasn't seeing changes that I could actually see. Um, and I was like taking, progress pictures, all of that, which I wish we could do with dogs. But I would have given up if it wasn't for having her support. So that was like my messy middle. And then when I kept going, kept listening to her, kept trusting in what she was saying, which I hope you trusted me a little bit with this dog training stuff, the things that I recommend and just trying it. But I trusted her. And sure enough, I felt better than I had felt in a long, long time. Felt strong. I have a different relationship with food now where I actually look forward to eating different meals. I'm not tracking anymore. I could. I've, I have thinking about kind of going back because it's easy to slip out of things and let my intuitive eating habits come in. But anyway, I think it's worth trying something different if what you've been doing is not working. That's my point. Okay, what was the other thing? Well, the look at me, 17 minutes. Okay. Those are the big things. It's just, I think if you, one of the best things you can do for you and your reactive dog, one, I want you to reflect on what's been working and what hasn't. If you're a list person, make a list. If you're a sit and have coffee, look out the window and think of this, do that. Reflect on what is working for you and what is not, because I promise there is something, if you are still struggling with reactivity, there's something you haven't tried, there's something you're not doing. A lot of people look to e-collar training as a last resort, where it doesn't have to be that. You don't have to wait to use an e-collar when you're like, oh, getting ready to sell your dog. I don't know. You're not going to sell your dog, but do you know what I mean? But anyway, might be time to try something different. Okay, I got a couple of questions that I thought I would answer. My next episode, I think, is going to be e-collar training 101. I kind of want it to be something where I can send it to someone who's thinking about getting into e-collar training, but they're nervous, not really sure where to start, and kind of the basics of why e-collar training is so helpful. Layla? No, I don't like when dogs lick themselves. Um, I mean, I know they have to, but the sound really makes me, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Okay. So that's what that episode's going to be. So if you have questions about e-collar training, I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you're in e-collar training. If not, we do have our e-collar starter guide. It is packed with so much information and also has, I think, right around 30 videos that go along with it where you can hear exactly when I'm using the e-collar. So that can be your blueprint to getting started. But okay, a couple of questions that I got. One was, when I correct with the e-collar with a higher level, my dog sometimes redirects at me. Does this mean that the level is too high? So I asked him for some more information. He's using a different e-collar that has 30 levels compared to the one I use that has 100 levels. So I usually don't like to give advice to someone who's using an e-collar with those levels because I'm not familiar with it. I can really only speak to the one that has 100 levels. But if your dog is redirecting on you, I would highly recommend using a muzzle. I think more times than not, it's a frustration thing. So it's when your level could be uncomfortable enough and meaningful enough, or it's just more irritating than anything, and it's not meaningful enough to actually stop the behavior your dog was doing. But I would use a muzzle. I think that that is the most safe thing to do, and it helps you work through situations and feel more confident doing so. Okay. I don't use tone. Can I use the stim in a similar way? Yes. So I love using tone on the mini educator. The reason that I did this is I saw another trainer doing it. I think the first few years of training dogs full time, I did not use tone because I didn't know about it. So the e-collar would just be set to vibrate, and I would only use stim. You can use the stim in a very similar way that you would use tone. Tone is just great because you can pair tone plus stim. So I find that a lot of owners love that they just press a sound compared to the stim. A lot of owners are nervous to, use the e-collar, use the stim button. So it's a little bit easier to follow through with a tap on tone for things. I find that it's fun. It's just a fun addition. It's like adding something new to your owner training toolkit. Yeah, I find that it's fun. I really enjoy it. I find that it is a great way for a dog to learn recall really quickly, like within 2 sessions, I find. So, and it might not be that for you, but as a trainer, because when I do intro to e-collar, I usually do it in the backyard with the tone plus stim. And in the e-collar starter guide, I show you how there are 3 ways that I show you how to introduce the e-collar, and this is the one that has no leash. I'm just using the e-collar. So I'm just using tone plus stim, and it is such a great way to introduce the e-collar. And it almost immediately gets a dog to start coming your way when they hear the tone sound. So that's really helpful. Anyway, that's not what you're asking. You're asking if you could use without. So sorry. But yeah, you can use it very similar. You just won't have the sound. So it's just like I would use the tone plus stim. But when you recall your dog and they don't come your way, or when you're starting to pair recall with the e-collar, a tap tap on the stim, like a little bit higher than the working level so that they feel it. It's not a correction necessarily, but they feel it. It means a little bit of something. So now when you say recall, they feel the stim. Then when you get to the accountability phase, you can dial up a bit to make recall non-negotiable. So for me, it would go tap on tone. And then if they don't come, then it would be a tap on the stim at the more meaningful level. So for you, you could just bypass the tone thing and go straight to a correction on the e-collar. So hope that's helpful. So those are the questions that I got. Another one was her dog is almost constantly scratching at her collar. And actually Layla does this when I'm working with her, like doing an active session. And with her, because I haven't seen any skin sensitivity, so check for that. Check, maybe you should use some hypoallergenic contact points if you see any like redness on the skin, things like that. If not, some dogs are just more sensitive. And with her, it's a stalling tactic, which is so interesting. Um, because she'll lay on her cot with it on, and no issues. We'll be on the walk. She's not stopping to itch or anything like that. But when I ask her to lay down, no e-collar, just down, nope, she starts to scratch at her collar. So it's a great stalling tactic, and she's so adorable. It's been so much fun working with her. But yeah, so for your dog, I know you said you have the winged contact points. I don't really use the winged contact points. I haven't found them to be more helpful than the like hypoallergenic, longer for contact points, things like that. So maybe think about switching out your contact points. Doesn't hurt. Get some hypoallergenic ones. That's where I would start. And yeah, I hope that that is helpful. Okay, so that's it. I hope you all just start to think about switching around some things. Prioritize calmness with your dog during the day. I promise it will be life changing. And I know that's easy to say. I do share a lot of information. And if you don't have it yet, get our place command freebie. It's our place command cheat sheets that show you how to introduce how to introduce place in a very straightforward way, and even like a place schedule for each day, how long to do it. And it's free. So I'll add that in the show notes. And yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. And I hope this was helpful. Let me know. Follow if you want to follow the podcast to be alerted when our next episodes are out, or I will share over on Instagram. All right. Bye.